Hey guys and girls, I just found out something totally mind-blowing about those so-called free adult websites. It's not a small detail or a random rumor, it's a massive web of hidden owners, questionable videos, and eye-popping profits, I promise. After hearing this, you'll never look at these sites the same way again. So let's start with how these platforms pretend to be free. It's like magic, right? Millions of clips all at your fingertips, zero cost. But here's the kicker, they rake in an absolute mountain of cash from advertising and sneaky little upgrades. Some insiders claim one of the biggest sites makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Yep, that's more than some big companies in mainstream entertainment. Kinda crazy for something that says it is free, don't you think? But turns out, most of these sites were once under one huge umbrella company called MindGeek, which later switched its name to ILO. Why the name change? Some folks think they were trying to bury a ton of bad press. I mean, wouldn't you rebrand if your business was getting slammed for shady videos and questionable practices? Changing the name might seem like a cheesy movie trick, but apparently it was their go-to move. Still, people in the know have not forgotten that it's pretty much the same bunch of executives running the show. Now, let's talk about how MindGeek or ILO or whatever they call themselves today turned into such a monster in this industry. They had hundreds of millions of dollars thrown at them by a hedge fund, plus secret investments from big places like a major US bank and even a famous university. Honestly, it sounds like some kind of conspiracy that these trusted institutions would pour money into a giant adult content empire. Some say the bankers and donors had no clue, others say they just did not care as long as the profits kept rolling in. I'm not sure which is worse, but either way, this corporation bought up or partnered with every big name you can think of, like it was unstoppable. They ended up with an almost iron grip on the entire market, kinda like how Big Pharma or Big Tobacco are known for controlling their industries. This was big explicit content, for lack of a better term. People didn't even know this one mega company owned all their favorite sites, from the tube services you've heard of a million times to premium or subscription based ones. It was a done deal. They basically formed a monopoly, and whenever something goes from big to massive, problems cannot be far behind. However, here is the part that really makes me lose faith in humanity. Countless claims started popping up about certain videos on these sites. Not the typical stuff, much darker things. We are talking about underage clips, footage of people who did not agree to be filmed, and other messed up things. If you're wondering, why would a huge company allow that? The answer is simple, it is one word: views. The more videos they have, the more people visit, and the more ad money they make. Keeping content up, even if it's illegal, is apparently more profitable than removing it right away. Now, that is just messed up. But wait, it gets even worse. People had horrifying stories, like a 15-year-old girl missing from Florida who was only found because someone recognized her on a big free site, or the many times users came across clips that obviously showed individuals who seemed too young. According to insiders, there were only a few dozen moderators for millions of uploads each year. It's impossible to catch everything with just a small team, and even when people flagged bad videos, it sometimes took well over a dozen flags for a video to even be reviewed. Imagine being a victim, trying your hardest to get your clip taken down, only for the site to ignore you until they are forced to react. A lot of folks out there say this is the definition of putting profit over human decency. All of these horror stories led to enormous backlash. Victims filed lawsuits, journalists wrote exposés, and one former owner of the company even spilled the beans about how things actually operated. People were outraged, calling these sites out on social media, writing articles and demanding that they be shut down or fixed. And here's where it got real. When major credit card companies saw what was going on, they pulled the plug. They didn't want their names tied to potential wrongdoing, so these sites panicked and removed something like 10 million videos almost overnight. Some people described it as the biggest takedown in internet history. After that giant deletion, they said, okay, from now on, we'll verify the people uploading. Sounds great on paper, right? Problem is, they only check the identity of the uploader, not the people in the video. So if some troublemaker was the one uploading, the site might end up verifying the wrong person. critics still argue that this system is as full of holes as Swiss cheese, letting harmful content slip through. In response to the storm of lawsuits and negative headlines, the company claimed to sell itself to ethical capital partners, which sounds like the perfect name if you're trying to look squeaky clean. But guess what? Many folks say the same people are still in control. It's basically a cosmetic makeover, while the same top managers keep a tight hold on everything. That's why many victims feel cheated, as if the sale was just a trick to avoid more heat. Now, why does all this matter to you? Well, if you or anyone you know has ever visited these sites, even just out of curiosity, you could be indirectly supporting a system that might be profiting from exploitative content. A lot of viewers don't think about what's going on behind the curtain. They see it as just a way to pass time without spending money. But those ad dollars are so massive, and the more clips a site hosts, the more viewers it attracts, which equals more cash. And when profits get so huge, it's not surprising that some companies may look the other way instead of removing questionable clips. Some people on social media say users should do better research before visiting these sites, or at least push them to have better safety checks. Others argue that law enforcement should crack down harder and that there should be new regulations requiring ID checks for everyone appearing in a video. Still, there are those who think the industry is just too big and these changes might not even make a single dent. It's pretty divisive. You've got some folks who believe it can be cleaned up and made safer, while others believe that as long as the big money is out there, corners will always be cut. Now, the part that really gives me goosebumps is this idea of powerful investors quietly standing behind everything. I mean, imagine major banks or university plowing their money into a giant adult platform that has been accused of hosting shady content. Either they did not do their homework, or they just didn't mind as long as profits kept rolling in. It feels like one of those movie plots where a secret group funds something unethical just because it is super profitable. It might not be a full-blown conspiracy, but it's definitely suspicious. We can't ignore that lawsuits are still piling up. New victims come forward all the time, claiming their content was uploaded without their permission, and because of all the court cases, more emails and documents are being revealed, painting a picture that is even uglier than we imagined. Some watchers think these companies might shut down or break apart if they keep losing credit card partners or facing monster settlements. Others think they'll manage to survive by continually rebranding, finding new loopholes, or trying to pretend they are squeaky clean. Personally, for me, I believe if a site wants to be the biggest and most recognized in the adult world, it has a responsibility to protect people from being harmed. Verifying IDs, enforcing strong moderation, and removing questionable or illegal material quickly shouldn't be optional. I mean, come on, how many more billions do you need before you decide to hire more moderators or develop better tools? When they don't do it, it's hard not to suspect that profit is the only thing that matters to them. At the end of the day, many of us didn't know about this because these sites don't exactly put up big warning signs that say we might be involved in really sketchy stuff. But I hope this little deep dive has opened your eyes to the reality behind free adult platforms. They might be free to watch, but they can come at a huge cost to the people who end up in those videos without ever saying yes. So that's the entire story, folks. Raw, simple, and honestly, kind of messed up. If all this news leaves you with a bitter taste, you are not alone. A ton of people have been upset about it, and they're trying to push for change. Will it happen? Maybe yes, or maybe absolutely not. But the first step is knowing what's really going on under the shiny surface. Thanks for sticking around and hearing me out. If you found this discussion as wild as I did, keep spreading the word. The more people learn, the harder it is for shady companies to hide. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see what happens next.